Welcome to today's video. I'm here from Black Locust to speak the truth on Hardwax oils. There are dozens of companies making this class of oil now, and many of them spout different rhetorics on what is essentially the same product. I'm here to wade through the marketing and clear up the knowledge on this powerful class of finishing oils. This video will cover Part 1, Background and Application. Hardwax oils are a relatively new formulation of drying oils, waxes, and various other oils or solvents. They're primarily produced in Europe, but are starting to be accepted in North America as a durable finish for wood flooring and furniture. They are hallmarked as easy to apply and maintain, low or VOC free, highly durable, typically only require 1 to 2 coats, and because they typically do not penetrate excessively and do not build up into a film finish, they cover huge areas per volume of oil. Because of the waxes and resins, Hardwax oils excel at evenly coating notoriously hard to finish surfaces such as oily woods and end grain, including burls. They can be found in a wide variety of colors and formulations. Hardwax oils are beginning to replace penetrating oils for use on wood flooring, furniture, and servingware because of their ease of application and improved water and stain resistance. Containing drying oils, Hardwax oils are different from vegetable and mineral oils in that they go through a chemical reaction that leaves them physically hard and highly resistant to water, heat, stains, and solvents. Drying oils include, but are not limited to, tongue, linseed/flax, and most nut oils. Flaxseed and linseed are synonymous. In North America, we say flaxseed. In Europe, they say linseed. Since Hardwax oils were originally produced in Europe, I'm used to saying linseed, so that's what I'll call it in this video. Drying oils are rated by their iodine number, or iodine index. The higher the number, the more carbon bonds are present in the oil, and the faster and harder it will cure. Oils are rated as hard drying to non-drying, with the 2 highest indexed commercially harvested oils being linseed and tongue oil. Note that of the edible oils, the higher rated ones tend to be better for us, and the lower rated ones less so. This is because in addition to drying ability, the iodine number also reflects how unsaturated a fat is. Most Hardwax oils are made out of linseed, since it dries faster and harder than nut oils like walnut, and is completely food safe right out of the bottle, unlike tongue oil. Linseed oil is sometimes boiled to help build up faster, and this gives you a thicker product, commonly called stand oil. Traditional penetrating oils also contain a drying oil, usually tongue oil, but this is then cut with thinners to help penetration and polymers, often urethanes, to assist in building up into a film finish. The drawbacks of these oils when compared to Hardwax oils include toxic fumes and caustic elements, many required coats, chemical sensitivity, and limited tinting options. Hardwax oils also work out to being slightly cheaper than most other options when coverage is considered. So, with the linseed or stand oil doing the heavy lifting in terms of protection from physical abrasion, Hardwax oils also include natural hard waxes and resins. These aid in adhesion to oily woods, as well as providing some additional protection from water and staining. Hard wax is a loose term to describe a wax that is harder at room temperature. They are considered more durable than a soft wax like soy wax. Every company has its own formulation, but generally they will contain linseed oil plus a few or many of the following. Oils such as sunflower, soybean, thistle, jojoba, and mineral oil. Hard waxes like carnauba, candelilla, and beeswax. And various other additives like solvents, paraffins, and drying agents. By mixing these easy-to-find materials, you can tinker with your own Hardwax oil. You'd be amazed at the ease of production and stunning results. My personal mix, which I call Fox oil, looks like this: 50% stand oil, 30% raw linseed oil, 5% jojoba oil, and 15% Clapham's furniture polish. which contains both beeswax and carnauba wax. Simply warm gently on the stove until the wax melts and allow it to cool slowly. You want the wax crystals to reform as small as possible. Now, hardwax oil mechanics. Hardwax oils work by penetrating from one to only a few cells deep and bonding with the cellulose to stabilize it as the drying oils cure. This leaves the cells on the surface of the wood walled off from accepting water or stains and physically reinforces the cell walls from damage. The waxes then sit on the oil, providing sheen and additional protection from water and chemicals. As a finish made up of other common woodworking finishes, there are numerous ways to apply hardwax oils. These include squeegee techniques, like old debit cards or gift cards, finger application, applicator pads, cloths, and brushing. In general, hardwax oils are pricey by volume, but inexpensive when coverage is taken into account. This is because they do not penetrate or build, and therefore have a very low loss rate. In order to maximize coverage and get our money's worth, methods of application that do not absorb product, which is later thrown out, are favored. These include squeegees and using your hands, neither of which absorb product. Start by pouring a small amount of oil onto your prepped surface and squeegee the oil around as thin as possible. Most hardwax oils barely penetrate, and even pigmented versions can often be left where poured for a few minutes without leaving a permanent stain. When spreading especially thin over open-pored wood, be sure that the oil has saturated the pores. Don't worry about lines, just spread the oil as far and thin as possible. Once spread, allow a few seconds for saturation. You have about 25 minutes to buff off the excess oil, but there's no benefit of letting it sit. Companies that advise a standing time are probably used to penetrating oils, where the extra time allows for deeper penetration. Since there's no penetration going on here, we don't need to worry about that. Begin rubbing off all excess oil with a lint-free cotton cloth. These can be bought in bulk as restaurant rags or saved from old t-shirts and socks. The goal is to remove all oil that is not bound to the cellulose. Because our rags are made of the same cellulose that the wood is, it will quickly become saturated and start spreading oil more than removing it. For this reason, it's important to constantly refold your cloth to expose fresh cellulose. You cannot overbuff these finishes, but you can easily leave too much on, which prevents the auto-oxidation reaction and leaves a sticky finish that does not cure. So, when you think you're done, get a fresh cloth and buff once more. The drying oil part of the finish will take roughly 3 weeks to fully cure. A full cure should be allowed before getting the surface wet or attempting to use a cleaning agent. It should be noted that drying oils cure on a power curve, meaning that most of the cure happens quickly and is slowly finished over a longer period of time. With a hardwax oil that does not contain a drying agent, approximately 80% of the cure happens in the first 5 to 7 days. Pieces can therefore be installed or worked with after a few days, and floors can be walked on with socks. One coat is plenty in terms of sealing in your wood and providing strong protection. However, a second coat on high traffic or highly visible areas will go a long way to increase the body of the finish. A second coat can typically be applied 18 to 24 hours after the initial application. There is no need for additional prep or sanding in between coats, although using an open-celled sanding pad to raise the grit can substantially increase sheen. If using a tinted oil, be careful not to overbuff and remove the pigment. Your second coat will use about 10% of the oil that the first coat did, and be sure to buff off the second coat just as thoroughly as you did the first. A second coat of pigmented Hardwax oil will not greatly increase the color, but rather the sheen. Here I've just gone over the wood on the right side quickly with a 600 open-celled buffing pad. This is going to remove the wax layer that's on top and polish the cells that are currently being lined with the oil. When I put the second coat over the entire piece, you'll notice a deeper, a little bit of a richer luster on that right hand side. A water pop can help to increase pigment intensity and even out coverage over ring porous woods. A water pop means to wet the wood prior to oil application, usually to increase the amount of pigment that is retained. You can water pop with a light misting from a spray bottle or by rubbing the surface with a damp cloth. Since this is a physical reaction and not chemical, you can speed up the drying process with a hair dryer or heat gun. This works because of the wood fibers that are split when we cut along a flat plane. Fibers that cross this plane are severed, with only one end bound to the piece. The free end is quick to absorb water and swells, causing it to raise and offer a nook for pigment to get lodged in. These hairs are usually knocked down with steel wool or an abrasive pad. Note the difference in pigment retention in the areas that have been water popped on the bottom versus those that have not on the top. You can see this most notably in between the ring pores on the left, where in the water popped areas, those areas are much darker than the areas above that have not been water popped. The ring pores are still hyperpigmented, but you can see the difference in the areas in between. Some Hardwax oils are sold with an accelerator portion. It is usually about 30% by volume of the oil itself. This is usually hexamethylene diisocyanate. This is a fairly nasty chemical, but it will shorten the full cure to 7 days, with 80% cure in the first 24 hours, and make the finish slightly harder and more water resistant. This is usually recommended for flooring applications so the floor can be walked on more quickly, or for high-use projects like kitchen tables or bathroom vanities. The accelerator is mixed in with the oil in batches, in a roughly 3 or 4 to 1 ratio. Once mixed, the oil will begin curing quickly and will gel up within 3 to 6 hours, so only mix what you need at one time. The accelerator will not dilute pigments. When should I not use a Hardwax oil? There are only a few situations where Hardwax oil isn't appropriate. 1. Because rubbing off excess oil is so important, Hardwax oils may not be suitable for extremely rough surfaces, such as reclaimed timbers, or extremely delicate surfaces, such as barnboard or whitewash. 2. Hardwax oils will not bond over polyurethane. 3. Hardwax oils can be given a healthy sheen with a few tricks, however, they will never truly build. They may not be the right choice if you're looking for a thick, glossy film finish. Some people feel this makes the finish less durable. However, while these oils are technically not as hard as a polyurethane finish, they trade this for easy repair, longevity, and increased chemical resistances. So I hope this video was helpful in clearing up some confusion surrounding Hardwax oils. I'll hopefully be putting out some more videos in the near future on some more creative ways to use Hardwax oils, as well as addressing some common fallacies surrounding these relatively new products. So feel free to drop any questions in the comments, and we'll see you in part 2.